Hey, GM everyone. Got a great show tonight. We are going to be talking about Prop 263 with the very tall and very sassy part Sasquatch. We're going to get into it right after this. Hey, Sasquatch. GM, how are you today?
GM, little panda, doing well. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm excited. I got to say I was pretty excited when I saw the title that Nouns Esports was going up on chain again. This is Prop 263. Big week for you all at Nouns Esports, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we have some awesome competition happening with our teams, and additionally, yeah, submitting a big proposal, re-upping for the 2023 season. It's very exciting.
Appreciate you coming on this late. I assume you probably didn't get a whole lot of sleep this weekend or this last couple of weeks working on this prop. But you are at Part Sasquatch on Twitter here. You got your lovely mix noun PFP Sasquatch coming out of the washing machine with these green noggles, huh?
Yep. It's a good mix now. Definitely my favorite. And it was a gift actually from a Shark Down member, so it has a bit of a personal attachment too. Also crafted by Goldie, from the Goat Club and a good friend. So love this mix now.
Amazing. Yeah, and I love the artistry of how this hand is coming out, but the body is in the washing machine mostly. Um did I make you tall enough on the little poster here? Kind of stretched you out.
Well, is that proportional to a washing machine? Because if so, I don't know. I think that might be an exaggeration.
I just kind of made you as tall as I could. I thought about like having you off screen almost like that. Um Yeah, awesome. Well, you've been on the show. Yeah, you're part washing machine, part big, part Sasquatch, square teal glasses. Um, you are core team. I guess core team or multi six signer for at Nouns Esports, right?
Yeah, and started writing the original props and been there since the start.
Yeah. So okay, so at Nouns Esports, Esports for Nouns DAO. This is probably what is this your fourth time on chain or third Nouns?
I want to say, I think it's maybe fifth actually with Prop 198. If you want to give me credit for that, that was a lot of shepherding for We Play Studios. So not really my prop, but spent a lot of time nouns pilling them and helping them prepare what a noun style prop looks like and all those kind of shenanigans.
Not your first rodeo. All that's to say, not your first rodeo on chain. You're a veteran. How are you feeling going into this prop? I guess we're a couple days from going live. You were prop 263, so starts on Thursday, right? So you got a couple more days until the voting starts.
Yeah, feeling good. I think it's a big proposal, and with any big proposal, there's always going to be questions and people who want to be addressed. But I think that I'm incredibly bullish on esports and the combination of nouns plus esports, and I can spend hours talking about that. So we can dig into why I think it's a great proposal, and why I think esports is like one of the best things that we can do for top of funnel marketing and nouns.
Love it. Love it. Well, I'm going to pull this up. I admit I did look at this already. I have looked through it. It's a big prop. So I'm going to right here nouns.wtf/vote/263. Proposed by Maddie OG. Do you have a rug yet? By the way, I got my rug is in transit. Not quite here yet,
Well,
but
actually,
I cannot wait.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's a master craftsman at the rugs. We actually did one of the first. I think maybe actually the like first or second rug he made is the Nouns Esports logo, because small piece of trivia, he actually was the main designer for the Nouns Esports logo. So yeah, he obviously wanted to convert that into a rug. And actually, we were talking about where to send this rug, but because it's one of his earliest ones, he's not as proud of like the overall like construction of it. So I mean, it's still a good rug, but maybe we'll make some more like Nouns Esports ones in the future. I think it's actually gonna go end up at the Wassy Hotel with the like the Nouns room or whatever they're doing there. So maybe it'll show up in some like media. People are just like standing on a Nouns Esports rug in Singapore. That'd be kind of cool.
Amazing. Maddie's got to be one of those like noun Swiss Army knives. He's designing logos, he's building rugs, he's auditing props, he's modding. I mean, is there anything Maddie doesn't do?
Yeah, he loves to dabble, and he's one of my main sounding boards for proposals in general. So we're always chatting about props, and he had a huge hand in writing this one. So yeah, shout out to him. He also obviously put it on chain. We wanted to put this up via nounsesports.eth, but typically Brennan is the one who delegates us his nouns to do so. But actually, his nouns are being used for the shorts proposal. So yeah, Maddie was there to help us out and hook us up.
Awesome. Yeah. So you went up April 1st, 2 days ago. This is a transaction. Yeah, it's always fun to kind of look at these props here in this mode. A lot of text here, a lot of stuff to get through. So yeah, let me do kind of a live read here. First, I love the banner. Counter-Strike logo, obviously. Who made this? Did Maddie make this?
It's from an art contest. I want to attribute it to Mattis Cup, but I would feel really bad if it's not him. But I know he did a really good Dota rendition, and I think he did the same with the CS one. So I think this is his. And yeah, I loved it, and it was a good fit for the prop.
I love the colors. I love the white noggles with the colors inside. Just creative noggles. That clearly they're noggles, but they look really good. All right. So let's get into this here. TLDR. Tier 1 esports. So what is tier 1? What is tier 1 in esports competition? What does that mean?
Sure. So generally in esports, I mean, it's a huge spectrum. You can think of it like traditional sports where, it ranges from, people playing in high school all the way through people playing at the pro level. And in esports, it's the same where people are playing casually or, maybe for an amateur team. They like competitive, but they're not top tier yet. And maybe they strive to be, and they practice really hard and they move up their ranks. In esports these days, there's plenty of collegiate teams and collegiate competitions, people playing for serious scholarship money. A close friend of mine even, funded his entire tuition to Berkeley with esports scholarships. So there's serious paydays in the wings for collegiate level athletes. And then it scales up through the pro level. There's different tiers of pro level where there's different divisions that have different standings and qualifications. And what we're really striving after is competing at the highest level, meaning having a shot at attending the biggest tournaments in the world, the events with the biggest prize pools, with the most viewership, with the most stakes. And that's a lofty goal, and there's a lot of teams striving to do so. But over the last year, we've really been able to penetrate that level of competition in the games that we are supporting. And so that's really the goal, is to maintain that high level and kind of enter the what's really like a space full of brands that have been around for multiple decades, well-established esports teams that have a full sleeve of sponsors and have huge audiences or command huge audiences, and we want to be amongst those.
Yes, and so this prop focuses on two games, right? Counter-Strike Go and Dota 2. I want to get into that real quick, but for those who don't know you, I mean, we did a whole stream before. I know you quite well, but you've been in and around esports since kind of the infancy of esports, right? How long have you been kind of around esports?
Yeah, so I would credit like the first round of esports really be back in the 90s.
Oh,
And
interesting.
for really the what is now like modern esports, the real foundations in my opinion are with two games: StarCraft Brood War over in Korea, where it became a televised circuit event with giant conglomerate Korean companies sponsoring teams. The Korean Air Force had a team. There was thousands and thousands upon thousands of spectators watching StarCraft Brood War competitively, and there were a few foreign players, but primarily it was Korean dominated. And a lot of the things that are still done in esports today really stem from how this initial kind of Korean Brood War circuit worked back in the day. And so that's a foundation for sure. And then the other one would be Counter Strike, and that would probably be for more of the Western audience. It's like the inaugural esport. Counter Strike had also a TV circuit back in the day on something called Direct TV in the Americas. I think the league was called CPL, if I remember correctly, and that was like a big esports league that was really like the biggest at the time. And it was like this shot of like, let's bring esports to TV, and it ended up failing miserably back in the day. And like all the teams that were invested in this like TV production got blown out basically. And this is all pre-streaming technology, so really like that was the first wave of esports, like the StarCraft Brood War and the Counter Strikes. And then what really kind of redefines esports wholly was the innovation of streaming technology. So before Twitch TV, which is now the biggest streaming platform for gamers, there used to be a website called Justin TV, and Justin TV was made, by the team that ended up founding Twitch. And why did they create Twitch? Well, because a lot of gamers just started using Justin TV for streaming. The streaming platform was just taken over by gamers when there became software for your PC that would allow you to broadcast your screen and upload it to a stream. And then there's an interactive Twitch chat. That was this incredible game changer, where now suddenly people who were practicing at home to be one of the better players in a game could stream their gameplay, have an audience, people could watch it and learn from it. And inevitably that became like its own culture where people just love watching games and seeing people strive to be the best. And that really fueled the growth of esports that we see today, this last decade.
Interesting. Yeah, I grew up kind of playing both these games. God, they're both 20 years old now, plus 20 plus years old. I kind of remember sort of early kind of StarCraft stuff, but really just seems so early compared to what is now such a large, booming, growing ecosystem. But you are let's see, you were a member of Shark DAO. You were kind of early Nouns. You've been in and around Nouns a long time, but you have a professional background as a StarCraft player, right? Maybe brief,
Right.
but you were an esports player.
Yeah, so touching on that like second wave of esports when Twitch streaming kind of became mainstream, that was conveniently at the same time as this game called StarCraft 2, which carried this esports legacy of StarCraft 1 with it. Was brought to market in around 2012, and it was really at the same time as the streaming technology was enabled. And so StarCraft kind of ushered in this new era of streaming esports, and that's really where I started becoming like a competitive player. I was a Warcraft 3 player, which is like a previous game that Blizzard made. The same makers of StarCraft. The StarCraft, which is space, and Warcraft, which is like fantasy. And Warcraft 3 was just like my favorite game. I'd play custom games on it. Even Dota was a custom game on Warcraft 3. And we'll get into what Dota is maybe a little bit later, but StarCraft 2 came out, and that's where I decided I'd practice really hard, and I was inspired by people streaming, and I wanted to be good, and I ended up getting pretty good. And I was in high school at the time, but I ended up getting invited to a team called Complexity, and moving to their team house and living there full time, and playing competitive StarCraft with other pro gamers, and we traveled to events. And that was my life, between high school and college.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so here you are now, many years later. You're a multi-sig signer. You're a prop builder. You're doing this for Nouns Esports. Let's see. Let's go back to this prop here. So okay, so you want to cement these two games rosters for Nouns Esports, CS:GO and Dota 2. So that's really what this is about, is these two games plus keeping the admin running, right?
Yep. It's really a specific prop where we want to support these two teams through 2023. And in order to do so, we just need a certain budget to really operate them at the level that they deserve. These are both top 3 teams in their respective game in North America. And, teams of that stature just commend a certain budget and certain level of support. And so that's really what this prop is exclusively supporting these teams and providing them with the support they would expect.
Yep. Okay, so let's see here. So multiple tournament wins and top 8 finishes. Esports teams have qualified for some of the biggest events in the world. What are some of the, maybe one or two, the kind of the most impactful kind of performances you think so far from Nouns Esports?
Sure. So in Dota, I guess I think like with Dota, it's hard to not remiss on when we first signed the team and they immediately won the biggest North America or American focused tournament outside of the DPC called the Pro Series, Summit Pro Series. And that was just an incredible moment because it was like the first that, we got the team and they just had a great run, and they ended up, going into the Dota Pro circuit and then beating Evil Geniuses and TSM FTX. At the time, TSM being sponsored by now notorious FTX before the meltdown. But yeah, it was a glorious moment because like we were decentralized Nouns DAO beating centralized FTX exchange, and that was just a special moment for me for sure. So that's always going to be a highlight. But also our team, they made it to the LCQ of the International, which, the International is a tournament that's upwards of, $20 million every year. I think 2021 had a $40 million prize pool. And last year it was, I think, around 20 million. So just the biggest esport tournament in the world by prize pool. And our Dota team was part of that circuit. On Counter-Strike, we, one of the first things we did with our Counter-Strike team was they were, when we actually found them, they were looking for a boot camp and they were unsponsored and they were going to a pretty prestigious tournament called the RMR. And so they ended up traveling to Stockholm. We provided them with a boot camp, and then they competed on stream against some pretty big teams. And in particular, they competed against a team called Imperia, I believe, with a pretty famous player called Fallen. And it was just a very hyped match. And it ended up being, I think, the first most viewed or the second most viewed match of the entire tournament, with like 220,000 live concurrent viewers. So that's just talking about people on the stream, not like, people who go and watch the VOD later, which is usually like multiples of that. But, just having like a double digit, 6-digit or 6-figure viewership number off the bat with our Counter-Strike team was pretty special. And, recently they've been on a tear where they've qualified to a bunch of really important events. So at the moment, they're just kind of on an awesome hot streak.
Nice. Love it. And I just want to pause here because I love this. This is from this Nouns versus the FTX team, Dota, and these Noggles are in game, right?
They're in game and they have physics. They're waving in the wind. They're little flags on the map or on the terrain. And yeah, you can brand them how you want. And most people just kind of make like a traditional flag, but Maddie, this clever guy, figured out how to kind of crop them in the middle.
If we want to talk about,
make these frames, and they truly look like glass, the flags of glasses.
Yeah, here they are, and you can see them waving here. That's I love that. Classic red Noggles, obviously. Okay, all right. So let's head back to the prop here. You're producing these gaming jerseys. I remember you sent me some of these drafts. These look dope. I love how you have so many of the sub DAOs here. You've got Builder, you've got NARS, you've got Little Nouns. Shark Dow. Is that Swim Shady there? Barely
Yep,
see
yep.
it. Love it. All right, and no betting sponsors. We talked about this last time, but that's another thing I really like about Nouns Esports is you're not shilling, a way for people to bet money on these games, which I think probably most teams do. Can you talk a bit just about sort of why you've chosen to kind of forego that sort of easy money and why you got a different kind of approach?
Sure. So, I don't have inherently anything wrong with teams that accept betting sponsors, but I think for the purpose of what we're doing with Nouns Esports, it's very unaligned with our goal. So to expand on that, primarily the types of sponsors that get the most kind of hatred or negative reaction from the esports community are betting and crypto. Betting is like, basically just kind of shoved in your face everywhere you look in esports these days. Even with like tournament organizers, they're running like significant broadcast advertisements, even mid-match sometimes, they'll disrupt the cast of the game to point out what the betting odds are. And that kind of stuff just honestly drives me nuts. So I empathize with that kind of sentiment as well. And with crypto, people just have that kind of reaction that most normie people have where, oh, it's, there's scams or it's pump and dump or NFTs are stupid, monkey JPEGs, blah, blah, blah. That kind of sentiment always exists. And so there's definitely that amongst gamers. So, with that in mind, like what we're trying to do is correct the sentiment towards crypto and show that there's not 100% bad actors. There's actually really cool things happening in crypto, and Nouns is really one of the best things happening in crypto, one of the best cultures to share with a greater, audience. And so for that reason, it just feels right to stick with sponsors that are value aligned and really just kind of focus on, being an ethical and transparent brand and bringing that Nounish culture to esports.
I love that. And there's such an opportunity for young people. And, young people have a lot of time and energy and interest on their hands in and around esports. So I absolutely love that. Okay. So let's see. Got some stuff about Dota here, CSGO. 226,000 live viewers. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, we were stoked for that. I mean, for reference, our Dota matches always pretty much receive 5-figure viewership, minimum. So like when we're just playing against like a Shopify Rebellion or TSM, those are pretty much the most hyped matches for North American Dota Pro circuit. But with CS:GO, there's just this potential for like certain matchups to kind of go exponential. And in the case of that match against Imperial, it was like one of the best matches on for the week. And we also had this Brazilian audience joining because Imperial is a Brazilian team, and so we just had this great engagement opportunity. I think some of our most liked tweets are still just like the engagement around that, where we had engagement from Fallen, one of the most famous pro players in Counter-Strike, who's on that team, and he just engaged with our account. We got a ton of sudden just metrics, but boom, basically.
Yep. All right, so let's see what else do I want to highlight. We got a lot of highlights here. I'm going to kind of skip through these. Oh, Dallas, IEM Dallas. So IEM is a big tournament, right?
Yeah, Intel Extreme Masters. It's that's a tournament series that's been going on for probably 10 plus years at this point. They were a StarCraft event back in the day, and that's a picture there from 2022. So for reference, this is the vibe that we're expecting, and our teams, they qualified, so they're attending. Happening in June. We're super stoked about making it to this event.
How many CS teams qualify for this?
I want to say it's 16. I have to double check, and yeah, our team made it through the NA qualifier, but it is an international event, so the best teams in Counter-Strike are all attending from different regions in the world.
Yep. Okay. All right. So let's get back a little bit to the prop here. Have you, so you all have been on chain now? You said this is probably your fifth time on. You've been, Nouns Esports has been funded, I'm guessing, 3 times. Is that right?
So our history is Dota and then Pokemon Unite, kind of smaller props. Then we had a prop extending our Dota term for another 3 months after the inaugural 3 months. And then after that, we launched the esports pod. And the pod was, general funding from a group of, nouners and nouns folk delegating funding across a bunch of different activations. And ultimately, we also shipped Prop 198, which was the We Play esports tournament proposal.
But that was not funded, right? That did not pass.
Correct. And that was, that I think that was the biggest ETH ask of all time at Nouns, I want to say. And it was also during the, ETH was at, I think, 1,200 or so at the time. So it was a pretty hard time to pass a proposal of that nature. But it was also a time-sensitive proposal. And, we ultimately wanted to bring this forward no matter what, despite thinking it would be, something, kind of difficult to bring to Nouns without like some kind of like pilot from the team first. But we stand by that proposal. Would have been awesome if it passed, and I would have loved to see it pass. And ultimately, those builders are really awesome, Slacks and Kyle from WePlay. So I hope to bring them back for a different proposal in the future.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so let's get down to kind of the pricing breakdown. You break this down into 3 sections. For the rosters for the 2 teams, could you talk about kind of how y'all came up with this kind of number range here? Yeah.
Sure. So both, we can kind of break it down by game vertical, where in esports, every game has a certain audience and a certain esports ecosystem, and salaries are very deterministic based on those kind of details. So CS and Dota are both some of the or 2 of the biggest esports in the world. They both have millions of concurrent players daily, and basically, we are looking to create a salary for our players that is a balance of market rates and how good they are, and what they're willing to accept as terms. So let's start with Dota. The players are all paid 4K a month, and there are incentive structures in place that based on performance metrics and attitude and just all the things around being a pro player that can impact their monthly rate. But generally speaking, the maximum they can make is 4K a month. And if you look at other teams,
you mean the minimum?
Yes. Or yeah, sorry, I was speaking out of correct. Sorry. Wait, no. You
said they each get a salary of 4K a month?
They can hit up to 4K a month.
Oh, up to 4K a month.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah,
do you have any kind of Nounish metrics, like how Nounish they are? Give them a bonus, or is it more professionalism kind of?
Yeah, it's more professionalism. Like we can really get granular, but there's things like wearing your jersey during matches and streaming with like assets on the stream, just doing all the things that like a normal esports brand hits on, and just making sure that there's compliance with like these granular details. And our players are pretty good about working on those, but it's good to have them spelt out and kind of reinforced, because at the end of the day, these people are trying to be competitors. They're not trying to be brand billboards. And they pretty much put all of their brain energy into just being the best at the game, because, that's what you need to do to win. So they really just need, a lot of hand holding on, hey, show up for this Twitter space, or, hey, we're traveling here and we'll have a fan activation and you're going to take pictures with fans, and, we'll put on some noggles and have a good time. Like that kind of stuff is what's spelled out by the manager, and it's reinforced by the incentives that we create.
Totally fair. That makes sense. Just kind of a brief detour. Could you give a couple of anecdotes about like how intense the training is, like for someone who's on one of these teams, like a CS:GO or Dota team? what is their week like in terms of how many hours they're putting into their game, getting prepared physically? How intense is it?
Yeah, I mean, when you're competing as a pro player, it really is like you don't have time for you maybe have time for one other thing in your life, nothing else. And so it's like, you pick a girlfriend or a side hobby or something small, but that's really, ultimately your brain energy is just fully put to the game. You're often grinding 10 to 12 hours playing the game. There's a mix of, scrimming with if it's a team game, you play with your team. And if it's a solo game, then you're just kind of grinding practice. But you can't always practice with your team. So often players are just playing something called like solo queue, where they are playing, with different players than their normal teammates. But you just need to get those reps in, and yeah, it is really a lot of reps. Basically, you can think of it as like just brain repetition and memorizing strategies, improving your mechanics. So with Counter Strike, that's aiming. With Dota, that's reflexes and decision making around kind of knowing your limitations. And yeah, there's a lot of nuance to each individual game and the skills that you need, but there really isn't time to do anything but compete when you're playing at this level. Competition and practice. That's the name of the game.
Yeah. It's intense. All right, so let's shift back here, go back to the budget here. Boot camps. Yeah, what are boot camps? Why is this worth funding?
Yeah, so boot camps are an extension of teams need to be practicing to, maintain their highest level performance. We actually had Lelis and Sempis on our little soapbox on the Noun Square earlier today, and they were riffing on kind of boot camps and what it really does. But ultimately, it's kind of like the teams need to be together in person in order to gel, in order to sync on practice schedule. They literally walk, being around each other and walk, like even going to dinner and just talking about the game and just gelling on like the synergy, what needs to be synergized on or what needs to be executed. That stuff is considered essential for team-based players. And so, it's just a requirement. It's not really a choice. All teams at this level need it. They are gonna, if you're asking a team what they want from an org, the first thing they often say is a boot camp funding, because that's what they think takes them to the next level. And so, it's just something we're always going to provide to our rosters.
Totally. Okay.
And just one note on that is we've been funding our boot camps thus far from our Nouns Esports budget, but this coming April, we're in the fortunate opportunity to have received a sponsored boot camp for the first time. So our North American Dota team is being flown out to Europe, to Germany, to a boot camp facility, hoteled up, and our manager and coach are both being flown out. So the whole 7-person squad, and it's all expenses paid, and that's just to compete in an online tournament in Europe. Because this tournament called Dream League is going to have the 16 best teams from the entire world, all in Europe, competing. And if you compete from North America, the ping is too high. So this tournament's flying out everybody just to compete with better latency to the servers. And that's no cost to us, and that's just an opportunity given to us because our team is good enough, basically.
That awesome. That raises kind of a question I had is has Nouns Esports generated revenue of that type? Have you guys been able to generate anything with merch, or I don't know? Have you had any revenue outside of the props, basically?
Yeah, we have not implemented any kind of revenue strategy with Nouns Esports. So, for example, we just released a mint, and it was the first mint we put out, and it's been minted over 10,000 times. But we released it completely free. We've done some Noggle giveaways for free. We've ran art contests or paid out to artists, but again, there's been no ask from Nouns Esports to the esports community yet. So, at this point, we are producing merch via our pod, and we're pretty excited to kind of get that out there because, for a long time, people have been asking us for merch, and we wanted to do something past like drop shipping, and actually kind of work with people who would produce something a little bit higher level for us. So that's been in the works, and we're excited about that. We're also excited to have these jerseys available for sale because, again, that's something that's regularly asked for, and we're pretty happy with the design. So, that's one potential source of revenue. The only thing that would be even close to be considered revenue from us is we were actually invited to a pre-sale of a project called Valhalla, which I don't know if you've heard of, but they're basically a PFP collection that is esports focused, and they have a very smart team out of LA, and they're esports native folks. They're big fans of like League and Valorant, and a bunch of different games. But they invited us to access their pre-sale for NFTs, and I think the value add to our treasury if we were to just market sell all of those is something like 10 ETH or something, just from getting a pre-sale price access and just having those in our treasury. But this team is also doing some pretty ambitious things with esports. I don't want to spoil all their fun, but they've been talking about like a streaming platform, and they ran tournaments. They just ran a big tournament in Fortnite. So for now, we're holding these NFTs as kind of a partnership, or just to be supportive to them and their efforts at growing esports within crypto.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to see how other revenue streams develop. But for now, let's see, back to this proposal. So $210K for support staff. I was looking through this, and obviously you have, 2 player managers who travel to events. I assume that's like a full-time job, right? For these 2 managers?
Yeah, it's really, you're organizing the life of 6 other people, and as like a team gets better, the demand of work becomes higher. There was like a great article from a team, this team called Complexity. Their Counter-Strike manager was saying that I think they flew like something crazy, like 40 flights in 3 months or something like that. It was like some absolutely nuts stat. And that's the life of a high-level esports gamer. You are literally just traveling nonstop, and trying to organize your practice and trying to organize boot camps, and it's just a grind. So at that at this level of competition, it's essential to have a manager who's always with the team.
Right on. And I talked about this with you last time, but Nouns Esports has a very transparent, kind of open, kind of Nounish accounting system, right? Where basically to get money, there's got to be a prop. It's all up on a Notion document. Everything is pretty well documented, right? I think I was poking around earlier, but can you kind of summarize that? And let me pull it up on screen. How do I get to that?
Sure. You can actually type in, well, we have a few Notion pages, but you can actually type in funds.nouns.gg, and it should redirect you to the latest accounting page made by Maddie. Again, Maddie coming through. I hope you notice a trend here. But this is probably one of the things he contributed the most to for our pod is really building out this accounting. I'm probably the lead on a lot of like the preparing of the multi-sig, and then he's doing a great job of documenting it. And yeah, fundamentally, this just includes like you should include all of the proposal or all the payments we've made as a pod and some details about them. So you can really see kind of where our expenditure has gone. And it's really just been supporting players for the vast majority, or supporting initiatives.
Yeah, player salary, art contest, player salary, content, jerseys. Down to the cent, right? So I guess these are jerseys for the player. This is back in September.
Yeah, that's a reimbursement. So reimbursements are always down to the cent. Show the receipt, we paid up, blah blah blah.
But seems like pretty strong culture of transparency, documentation, and then props, right? You
how someone can make a prop, right? If they want to be sponsored, or how does that work with esports?
Yeah, so we created this pod, and inherently with this pod, we had a very high level of discretion with what the funds. On the prop itself, we only said potential use of funds. We didn't really firmly commit to anything except to use it for purposes of esports. And with that in mind, we created a framework where anybody who is in our Discord can come and submit an idea or a proposal. And then, the pod vets it and discusses it with the proposer. And if it's a good idea, hopefully it gets funded. That came with great success, across a couple of different proposals we've done. Players like Aklo and Taki are both, proposal ideas. Additionally, the CSGO boot camp was really just a contributor came into our server and dropped the tweet from the coach Semphis saying, "Hey, our GoFundMe is not hitting its goal for the boot camp, and we need more donations." And so we just reached out to them and said, "Hey, can we cover this boot camp?" Because we saw that tweet, and the rest is history. Now we're trying to sponsor them full time. So the proposal structure was great. And I think a big net there was actually just onboarding builders from the esports community, because again, this is not something that's like a transparent open building ecosystem is not something native to esports. A lot of teams are kind of hush hush and centralized, and you need to get hired on the team before you really learn anything about how the organization works. We are really the opposite, where we're just going to let you come to our Friday contributor call and you can ask whatever questions you want. And we're happy to answer and talk about how we've operated. And that's just the culture that we want to give to the esports community, because again, I think that the Nouns culture is some of the best for onboarding people into crypto and showing the good side of crypto. And if we can spread that to the esports community, I think that's going to be the clear differentiator in a lot of ways for why Nouns Esports is special.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, brief shout out to Index Card here, who just gave us a little YouTube comment. He's always watching. Shout out to Index Card GM.
Shout out.
Okay, cool. So last thing I think to cover really, Sasquatch, so multi-sig, Sasquatch, Brennan, obviously, Duck Noun, Maddie, Oni, I know has been around Nouns a lot. I don't know Oni exactly. But yeah, can you talk about sort of how this multi-sig operates? Is it going to be like a 3 of 5? And basically this multi-sig is going to receive the 795,000 USDC and then dole it out directly, or where does the 795K go?
Sure. So that multi-sig is still the multi-sig from Prop 119, our esports pod prop. The only change here is that we're adding Peter to the signing list. Peter is actually a member of Prop 119's pod. So if you go look at the Prop 119 language, you can see there's 11 pod members in the list. And that's, it's not the same exact people. I mean, all the multi-sig members were members of the pod, but there's, 6 other names past the 5 multi-sig members that were included on the pod, and that represented the voting body of Nouns Esports. So the fundamental change here is we still have this voting body of now 13 people as we added 2 contributors, but we're adding Peter to the multi-sig because he's one of the most active pod members, and we know he'll do a good job at monitoring signing and helping contributing on that front. I'm primarily the one queuing up signing. The rest of the group there, Brennan, Maddie, and Oni, have done a great job at being really active signers, but just to further reduce friction and have somebody responsible at the helm, we're excited to add Peter on.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah,
and I can share a little bit about Peter too. I mean, he's a cool guy. He's got quite.
Let's hear it.
I mean, he's just a super esports veteran. He, he is a former pro Dota player, and he was on a team called Evil Geniuses, which ended up winning a tournament called the International, which we mentioned earlier in this call. And so I think at the time of him winning, the total prize pool for the International was something like 18 million. And just one of the most historied Dota players probably of all time. And additionally was the CEO of Evil Geniuses after Evil Geniuses was, there's this very interesting moment where Twitch bought Evil Geniuses, but then they released it, and he was the CEO of them and all their squads, and has a lot of experience in esports on both sides, playing and organization. So he's been pretty active since learning about us from seeing us in Dota, and he was already crypto native to begin with, but now he's extremely nouns pilled after spending some months with us, and just a great member of our pod and multisig, or soon to be a member of the multisig. Panda, you muted.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, that
Classic.
I think
Oh, good.
covers. I think that pretty much covers the prop. Again, this goes live April 6th, Thursday. I imagine there's going to be a lot of votes on this because, it'll be really interesting to kind of see how it turns out. Have you started the campaign yet? Can you talk about, what sorts of questions you've had so far? What kind of points that people have asked you? Anything that you want to clarify or kind of messages you want to get out there?
Sure. So, so the biggest questions I've answered so far have been in the jungle server, and there was just some questions about how much other teams are sponsored for. Do we have any data points about how the previous props have went? How many nowners have been onboarded? What else? There was a question about revenue splits from merch, revenue splits from tournament winnings. Is this project going to ever be self-sustaining? So lots of questions on like the financial side, which I think is important because, of course, this is a big proposal. I think generally speaking, you can see that there are ways for revenue to be acquired from an esports team. So it's important to discuss the financials there and how the nouns community should interpret what we're doing.
Let's go to that for a second, just because I'm interested in that. And what have you been saying? I mean, obviously, you can't say specific plans. You don't know exactly what will happen, but you guys have some idea, right? You've got some plans in the works. How are you answering those questions?
Sure. So I think first to address sustainability or like long-term vision, I think that we're in the very unique position of being able to be basically the first esports team that is crypto native first. And I think Nouns is pretty much the perfect place for that to happen from. Generally speaking, what I consider Nouns Esports to be is top of funnel marketing for Nouns and for crypto. We think that esports can be one of the esports and game. Well, first of all, gaming is going to become incredibly intertwined with crypto in the future. If you go look at, there's a very pivotal figure in gaming called Dr. Disrespect, who's making a game called Dead Drop. And that game is, just now being tested for the first time, beta access, and it uses Polygon as like it's powered by Polygon in terms of its crypto interactions. And I think that game is going to become incredibly mainstream and basically kind of usher in a new wave of crypto gaming. And it's not just that game. There's also Parallel, which is a card game with a great team. There's other games in the works that are kind of be coming out in like later 2023 they just look like proper games. It's not play to earn garbage, which I'm really not a fan of most play to earn games because most of the time it's like you're grinding or working, or people are literally going to places just to grind the game for money. That's I want people to play games for fun, not just for like financial reasons. So yeah, I'm really excited for this new era of games that are actually good coming to crypto and like actually inspiring people to see that like there's good innovations from crypto that can be intertwined with gaming. So to that end, esports and crypto intertwining further and further is just inevitable. And I think Nouns Esports again is like, we're the first to do it, and we're well positioned to be, this really powerful intermingling of Web3 and esports. And so, again, top of market funneling. What does that mean? Well, I think that Nouns culture is the best. I think we show the best aspects of crypto, transparency, like just how the blockchain is transparent. Nouns culture is incredibly transparent. The technological innovation that Nouns creates is like second to none. We're literally building on the frontier of crypto and building innovations there. And also the art is fabulous. I think that can't be underrated as well. The art is so accessible to people that this is a brand that can work for every age demographic. And esports has quite the spectrum of age demographics amongst it. So yeah, I just think there's it's basically like the perfect set of tools to build a really incredible esports brand. And what do we do with that brand? Well, let's just imagine that we talked about sponsors before and how we want value aligned sponsors. Well, we're building products to onboard people into crypto and Nouns. And, in order to do so, you probably want to reduce as much friction as possible. So for example, right now, are you familiar with That's Gnarly, Little Panda?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So like That's Gnarly, we're making a version of that called Pog. And if you're not familiar with Pog, you can just Google it and see what that kind of comes up with. And it's not the thing from the 90s. It's actually a meme. And it's a gaming meme, and it kind of just means like an awesome moment, or like it's really a reaction. It's like you're hyped on what you're seeing on the screen. And so Pog, or Proof of Gamer as we call it, is going to be our version of That's Gnarly. And it's really about celebrating esports moments, and it's being built by Collective, the same team behind That's Gnarly. And in strategy behind these two platforms, if you're going and minting something on That's Gnarly right now, the mint cost is extremely low, and there's daily drops occurring. But what might end up costing like 50% of the total cost is actually the mint fee. So there's incredible friction right now around low cost mints and a network that can get more and more clogged. Especially right now we're still in like the bear market. Imagine back when we go to the bull and what gas is going to look like. It really hamstrings kind of accessibility to the network when gas fees get more and more expensive. So, from that standpoint, we see the future of onboarding to be on L2 where friction's reduced. And, if you look at other groups that kind of think the same way, well, you can look at the Base announcement for Coinbase. What is the purpose of Base? They want to onboard billions of people to their L2. And doing so through reduced friction that the L2 provides. So, this is just like I'm putting it out in the air. I want to see it happen. But, what if Coinbase is a sponsor of Nouns Esports, because Nouns Esports is providing top of funnel marketing to Base, and NARS could be doing the same thing. I mean, all of Nouns could be doing that, because again, I think Nouns has that best culture for onboarding. So for me, I really would love to see a huge pivot from Nouns into just onboarding people in general to crypto. And I think Nounish videos are obviously doing an amazing job at that. But I think what NARS and esports and other sub communities that are funded can do is have really strong penetration into those markets that are second to none. We're authentic builders from that space, so we can convey why Nouns is awesome best to those people. So if you can imagine a world where Nouns Esports continues to be funded, our org continues to grow, we continue to garner more fans and greater viewership, and then we're building basically different products that are designed for gamers and are meant to onboard them into our culture. I think that's a very great value add to not just Nouns but other builders in crypto that are looking for, increasing top of funnel marketing, bringing in the masses, as they say.
Yeah. And so, okay. So I heard you say someone asked, what has been the results of the onboarding? Have there been esports people who've become Noun Pilled and bought Nouns, participated in the Nouns ecosystem? How would you answer that? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, and also by the way, Peter's down to join if you want to start wrangling them in. But
yeah, Hey, hold on. I sent him the link, so he's
Sure.
just got to click that link, and he is welcome. I'd love to have Peter on.
Sweet. I'll tell him to click the link. Click the link, Peter. There. So yeah, in Prop 119, we actually were talking about including testimonials in this current prop, but this prop is so girthy that we were really trying to be reductionist there, and so we decided to not put more testimonials in, but in Prop 119 we did, and we had some great quotes from two people who joined Nouns specifically because of esports. Brian and Jason from a group called Patron, which is a VC for early stage gaming, and one of them showed up to bid. I think the other one bought a Noun on secondary, but two awesome dudes who were happy to join Nouns and gave significant credit to the esports operations as being a decision maker. And then, of course, it's not just about the Nouners that joined. I think, what I'm really proud of is how many builders we've onboarded. So, Peter's an obvious one who's on our multi-sig now. He didn't know about Nouns. He saw the team. Now he is like really deep in Nouns. He's, always recommending different elements of Nouns to people. He's in the comments on Nounish videos. He's daily involved with our esports operations. He wants Nouns esports to be the biggest team. Period. He's like just a complete ally in this sense, and that's an easy example of like a builder we've onboarded. But there's really quite a lot across artists. One of my favorite is a lady named Pumi, who's done art for TNS and Little Nouns and NARS, and she came in through an esports art competition. Then also there's a good friend named Sam who did nouns.gg for us, or our whole website. And additionally, he's applied in Hack Week this previous week, so he's got a Hack Week submission after being onboarded through esports. And so yeah, there's just a good group of different folks who have been brought in as builders and are now kind of going deeper into the Nouns ecosystem after starting through esports. I think Sam would be under the like newcomers, like the bigger rounds. I forget what they're called. The grand prizes. And then what's this prop called? It's the nouns.oo if you've seen that. Yep. There you go. So he made like a new discovery portal for Nouns where it kind of like takes you through a literal portal, and then you end up on different Nounish pages. And he's just going really deep in the ecosystem, and it was awesome to see him submit a prop house round, or a prop house submission. And so happy to support him. Shameless plug, go vote for Sam. Also, you're muted again, little panda, if you're Chad.
Yep, sorry about that. I think watching the builders, where they come from, how much they're building, not just in Nouns, but across the sub-DAOs, I think that's important. And I'm going to transition here just for a second. I think Peter's here. Peter's got to set up his audio. I'll get him up on stage as soon as his mic is on. But I'm here at the Lil Nouns snapshot. This is for Lil Nouns has 16 Noun votes. And what I noticed here is there's how many voters so far? I don't know, 15 or 20. I notice a lot of voters here that have one Little Noun that I don't recognize from kind of other Little Noun stuff. And I wonder if these are folks that kind of got into Littles through esports. Hash Brown.
Littles definitely capture some of that, because I can just give you an anecdote with Peter again. Before I knew it, he was like already scouring what kind of like affordable Nounish things he could buy, and he went to Little Nouns and NARS, and I think those were the two he collected like first off. So I think Little Nouns just is in that position where people go and see Nouns and they clearly are like, okay, I can't afford this, and then they discover like these lower cost alternatives, and like Little Nouns has that really nounish vibe with a similar website and voting mechanics, and so I think it's just in a great position to always kind of capture attention brought to nouns.
Yep. Yep. I myself am going to actually vote right now. I'm going to vote for this. But yeah, this is open for the next 4 or 5 days. Do you want any Lil Sassy? Do you need to vote on this?
Thanks for your vote. I own one Little. I'm a sole Little owner.
You got to get your vote out, man. You guys are losing so far.
Well, it's not on my main wallet, so you won't see when it's me. But yeah, I'll get my vote in for sure. Got to do it.
Fair enough. All right. It's going to take me a minute to get my.
What are my chances in Littles, Mr. Panda, Little Panda?
I don't speak for Little Nouns, but yeah, you're gonna have to get some votes out, man. Let's see, right now it is 425 against. That's I believe that's Will Price here with 424 no. But then everyone else, well, there was one other no, but then everyone else was for. And so this is very typical, is you got a lot of small voters that are for, and then one big voter who's against. So basically you're gonna have to get out the vote here. But you got some time. You got until April 8th. So that's 5 days from now. What are your chances? I don't know. I love esports. I mean, I'm a huge fan of your pod. I'm a huge fan of this. I'm a huge fan of really kind of the stuff you do besides just kind of like getting the name out there. I love disrupting kind of the esports model. I love kind of, taking a different approach than kind of the gambling sponsors, the transparency. And I love just kind of, taking this open source brand of Nouns and really just seeing what you can do with it. So I'm going to vote for you. I'm going to keep supporting you, obviously. And I think a lot of people feel that same way. I'm also for most proposals. I'm not like a budget hawk. But yeah, Peter's up on stage now. Peter, GM, can you? Yeah,
Hi.
how are you?
Hear me okay?
Yeah. Your profile's looking a little bare. Could you upload a PFP? Maybe get one of your. I was checking out your Twitter profile earlier. You got a lot of cool Nounish artwork.
Yeah, no problem. Give me a second.
Yeah, and while we're doing that, I want to get to know you, Peter. Back to Sasquatch though, to kind of sort of wrap this stuff up. What you mentioned, the jungle. What is the jungle?
I mean, it's just one of the servers where you kind of make your rounds into, and then a lot of Nouners are pretty active there these days, I would say. So one of the first stops on the tour journey for a proposal.
Can you talk generally sort of about that journey and what that's like as a builder, what your approach is, what your strategy is, how do you go into the jungle ready to battle? Like what's your approach?
Sure. Well, I mean, to begin with, I'm mostly just day to day still heads down with building this community and suborg or org, whatever you want to call them now, esports. I'm open to different labels, of course, but inherently, like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to operate an esports team. And so, despite having the prop up, I'm talking with our CSGO manager who just he just had his flight. He missed it. His flight got delayed, and he has to reschedule his flight now, his connecting flight. And then, like, at the same time, we were shipping Noggles to the team out there because in Mexico they were getting them the luxury Noggles from Nouns Vision. So we're gonna arrange a photo shoot, and there's all these like ridiculous details that I could go on about for hours, but that's like the day-to-day grind. And in preparation of this proposal, it's really just about I mean, for me, it was about sharing the proposal very often with contributors as I was writing it and getting feedback. I mean, we knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to support these two teams that we consider our path into the highest level of esports. and sharing, getting feedback from the people in your circle is super important who actually understand esports and also understand nouns and have that overlap of knowledge. And from there, I think prior to proposal submission, I probably stayed up like 24 hours just kind of iterating on the writing and really refining what we're going to share, because there's so much to share about a project of this scope that you can't include everything in the prop or you're going to fatigue your audience. So we really just wanted to be hyper focused on, what was shipped. And I'm really proud of the writing that we got into the prop. Like, I think for a longer prop, I think we did one of the best jobs at writing a prop that's like of this length. And, I think we only flubbed up one link, which was, a big win in my book. If you're only messing up like one thing on a on-chain proposal, then that's not too shabby. So yeah, really happy with how that proposal came out. And then post prop, I already feel a lot of weight off my shoulders just getting the proposal out, because that was really the big grind for me, was like hyper focused on having like the, as perfect of a proposal as possible and super granular in all the details. I'm a kind of an OCD perfectionist to begin with. So doing something like on-chain proposals is just a huge like a trigger point for me, I guess. But it's also, it's super fun to do. And now that it's live, it's about, sharing it. So, I'm happy to come on shows like yours and just talk at long length about any aspect of the proposal, because, again, in that spirit of transparency, why not be an open book? And of course, with a proposal this size, you should make your schedule wide open for this stuff anyway. You got to be open to hearing comments and questions and giving out feedback. When it's like, it's shows like these, but it's also the servers that the Nouns community dwell in. So Little Nouns, SharkDAO, Noun Square, Nounish server, Jungle, places that you want to just be engaged with or have an ear to the ground, so you can be reactionary and respond and give feedback or answer questions, etc. Jungle in particular has been a great source for questions and discussion. And so we got some good questions in there today. And, I think I did a pretty good job at going long form on the answers and really spelling out granular details for folks with, who want that information. So, so far pretty happy with the press tour, as you call it. And honestly, to me, like it feels like the pressure's off with the prop. So I'm just doing the sharing that I love talking about esports. So it's really not that hard to just keep going on this kind of stuff.
Love it. Working on a prop myself that hopefully eventually gets up to Nouns. Gonna get to the Jungle myself, I hope. What do you have any advice specific about engaging with feedback? How do you do it? How do you stay positive? How do you deal with the negative feedback? It can be kind of harsh. It can be rough out there in the jungle, can't it?
Yeah, I think just speaking to my previous props, I think I've been fortunate enough to not receive too much critical feedback as they're being proposed, but certainly other folks have, and I know that can be a challenge where maybe it's just like a question that's difficult to answer, or it's questions that are sometimes asked on certain proposals but not asked on others, and it's just like it can sometimes be like an awkward situation or what have you. But in our case, like the hard questions are actually easy for me to answer, because I feel like I'm just confident with what we've done. So like, somebody says like, why is this prop so expensive? Well, I say, hey, look at the ranks of our teams and then look at the comparable numbers for other teams that are and what they're being paid. And I'm super satisfied with where our numbers are at compared to them. So like, I just know the market well enough to feel like we're just submitting something of value to Nouns, and I don't need to, I don't really feel gun shy about answering anything that's proposed, because I just think it's a really strong prop. So actually, I've been enjoying the jungle questions thus far. I know some folks have kind of like this I don't know, like it's like a bit of a den that you're walking into or something. But yeah, I don't really see it that way. I think there's like a lot of fair questions asked in there as well, and some people who enjoy asking the hard questions, and I think you do need those people in the DAO. And if we can't do a good job at answering them, then maybe our prop doesn't deserve the pass, right? So
Yep, totally awesome. Sasquatch, really appreciated having you on. You're welcome if you want to stay. You're welcome if you got to go. You've been on over an hour. But yeah, I wanted to get to know Peter a bit.
I'll
Peter,
hang out and let y'all chit chat. But yeah, thanks, Panda, of course, and yeah, feel free to throw if you want to ask us both something.
Awesome, thanks, Peter. GM, thanks for coming on.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, so yeah, you don't really know me, but yeah, this is just I'm a gamer. I play Nouns instead of CS:GO, and I'm a streamer. So I'm making content about Nouns. I've had a lot of fun having Sasquatch on the stream before. Love esports, but yeah, this is just kind of just a jam session. We're just chatting about the prop, chatting about esports. Sasquatch mentioned he talked about how you've kind of become Nouns pilled and crypto pilled, and how you're on the multi-sig now. So yeah, would love to just kind of get to know you a little bit, talk, kind of hear your perspective on things. But congrats on the prop. Congrats on getting onto the multi-sig. How long have you been in Nouns?
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm not sure like officially when. I think I found out about Nouns last summer or like late spring. I saw their Dota 2 team competing. I used to be an ex-professional Dota 2 player, so kind of found out about it through that group. Didn't know that much about it, or actually wasn't really even into crypto at the time. I got into it probably maybe a year ago today. And that was just because a different friend of mine came to me wanting us to do an esports broadcast for them, which is my day job. I work for an esports broadcast production company. And he was working in Web3, and I just hadn't even considered anything like that. So I'm a pretty curious guy, and I can dig around and figure stuff out online. So just started reading and learning more. And but the fastest way for me to learn was meeting and discussing with other people. So kind of got attached to Nouns, was able to leverage my esports and gaming past, and kind of find a place to contribute.
Panda, your mic, bro.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, I've really got to. I'm new to this streaming thing.
I'll just be here for the mic check.
Yeah,
no, I've got to get a physical mute button. But okay, so I'm intrigued here. Are you at Peter Panda M, or is it Pandam, or what's?
It's Peter Pandam, yeah.
Okay, so you have the word panda in it, but you're not associated with pandas.
No. Yeah, my name goes a lot of different ways. I also went by PPD. I kind of shortened it for a while when I was in Dota. Peter Pandam is mostly in reference to Jean-Claude Van Damme, the old action
I
hero.
like that.
And my name is Peter, so it just kind of, I don't know. I came up with it one day.
Awesome. And is this PFP a Dota symbol with noggles, or what?
Yeah, this is a Treant Protector, who's one of the heroes in Dota, and probably my most played, and probably my most like iconic hero during my professional career.
Very cool. Did you do this yourself, or was this an art contest, or?
No, somebody made it. We had an art contest. I don't know if this was even a part of it. I think somebody just drew it, and I don't know. They just shared it. So, and I asked them if I could use it as my PFP, and they said yes. And thank you very much.
Okay, cool. So you've let's see, your day job is you work for a gaming stream producer.
Yeah,
Did you
our
say?
name is Esports Engine. If people are familiar with the old, I always compare it to Major League Gaming, MLG, back in the day. It's that kind of group, and we call ourselves like a turnkey esports solution, but we're kind of just like an esports service company. So we work with a lot of like big publishers and whatever kind of esports marketing initiatives they have. We kind of are the boots on the ground, executing it for them and planning it online.
All right, very cool. Okay, so I got to start with this. I talked to Sasquatch about this last time, but I have this kind of thesis. People think I'm crazy, but my idea is I'm a streamer and I'm playing Nouns. I'm not playing Dota, I'm not playing Fortnite, but Nouns is sort of my game. The idea is, with Nouns, you can build things, you can make friends, you can build a reputation, and if you perform well, like if you create something cool, then you can kind of get rewarded in kind of the Nouns in-game currency, which is, ETH. Um, to what extent do you kind of see that? Do you see kind of Nouns as a game, or do you see kind of esports versus Nouns as sort of kind of two separate domains?
Yeah. Well, I almost feel that way about like crypto entirely, to be honest. I feel like this is like my playground almost to some extent.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think that I'm like playing the game of Nouns because I'm not really that Nouns. I mean, relative to most, I would say I'm very Nouns filled, but compared to people like Sasquatch and maybe yourself, not so much. So um, I actually have been really intrigued with Prop House, and I've been looking for opportunities to engage with other Nounish groups besides Nouns Esports, but I haven't really found my opportunity quite yet. I was pretty into NARS, or I've been pretty into NARS as well, just because I would, used to be into snowboarding, so it's kind of relatable. But I'm working my way around in the game of Nouns, as you say. I do like with like the whole like Web3 gaming sort of thing. There's so much of Web3 gaming is like the culture, the discords, the Twitter, the posts, and um, the world of streaming and gaming where I come from. It's just you watching that person in game playing, but kind of that game that exists kind of in the social media metaverse, for lack of a better term. It's an interesting idea to kind of stream that. I think it will be more appealing in the future.
Yeah. Okay. So, if we go to your kind of gaming career, if we look at you as sort of a Nouns gamer, Sasquatch told me before you came on, you've been super active recently, and you in this prop here, if this passes, you're going to get added to the esports pod as an active signer, right?
Yep, correct.
So you're going to be taking on tasks. I assume you're going to be compensated, or you've already been compensated, I'm sure, right? You get paid for this.
Yeah, there we had a contributor compensation last year where I made a bit of money. Nothing crazy, I think.
Yeah. And what sorts of tasks or kind of gaming, what kinds of things did you do to sort of earn that?
Oh wow. Lots of different things. I think I'm just a very active contributor. Like you'll always get a reply from me. If somebody new comes into the Discord and is, I don't know, not sure where they are, I think I'm kind of the one of the people in the Discord that jumps, and engages them and tries to get them to go towards step 2 of figuring out, how the heck do they kind of interact and engage here. So I've done a ton of onboarding of like new people, kind of helping them, set up their first wallets. I've ran a bunch of different tournaments for Nouns, and that has led to all kinds of different networking and opportunities that have kind of engaged our community to think about, hey, how can we turn this into a new proposal, or how can we, bring this back to Nouns somehow, or how can we, partner with this other great organization who's, we don't work directly with them, but they're kind of chasing the same narratives that we are. So yeah, just kind of chatting and meeting people and just building a bigger network here in Web3.
And you've obviously got you obviously understand wallet security and what it's like to be on a multi-sig and all that kind of stuff, like the crypto skills, right?
I have learned the crypto skills over the years. I've, made mistakes and done, stupid stuff, but
Who
yeah,
among us hasn't?
yeah, that's just how you learn. You just hope that it's not like your life savings, that you send to the wrong blockchain or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, but so in my framing here, what I would say is like you are kind of friendly, you help kind of onboard people, which is really kind of an important task for the pod, right? You have this big funnel, you're going to catch some people, they're going to show up in your Discord. They could be very valuable contributors, members, etc. But if nobody responds to them, then that's sort of a big loss. I assume you, just from what Sasquatch said, you're responsive, you're active. You know, if there's a transaction that needs to be signed, you're going to be diligent, you're going to be responsive. I would say these are all sort of like kind of your in-game skills almost.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I appreciate that.
And you're getting paid, right? You're earning currency if this thing does well. I guess if this prop doesn't pass, maybe you won't do as well, but you almost got like kind of a bonus if this thing passes because you're going to be added to the multi-sig, right?
I suppose you are right. I've got, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll get off my soapbox here, but that's my soapbox is we're all playing nouns. We just don't realize it.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I haven't thought about it that much because I'm very much like thinking about nouns as a very like opportunistic, like future sort of thing. I think this has been, and I've been trying to like preach the opportunity to other people. It's just kind of hard for them. It's hard to onboard, but such a unique opportunity to kind of build in a space with not necessarily having to take on the risks that regular entrepreneurs have to do to kind of build something from scratch.
Totally. Just kind of a different set of risks, I'd say. And you said you're kind of prop house curious, but you haven't done any props yet. That's kind of another, I'd say that's an area that's pretty ripe for exploration. Have you looked through prop house rounds or what kind of familiarity do you have with prop house?
I think I've never submitted a proposal or anything here, but I've definitely read through lots of different groups and different funding rounds, and I'm pretty familiar. I actually submitted, we're looking to add our own prop house round for Nouns Esports, and I've been working on a proposal focused on the Smash Melee community to create a prop house for them. I think it can be a really useful tool for them to kind of have like a decentralized voting governance over, supporting their community. So I can go into that if you'd like, or we can kind of keep it high level prop house. I'm pretty familiar, I think.
That's totally, I could spend 24 hours a day talking about prop house. Prop house is one of my favorite parts of nouns. So let's go here. Prop.house. So no esports prop house yet, but it sounds like it's going to be an esports one or it's going to be a Smash Bros Melee round house.
I think we're a little unsure because we don't know if we can have separate tokens for like different funding rounds. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you definitely can. I don't want to speak for Seneca or prop house, but
okay. Yeah, we weren't sure if
every round you can use a different token.
Okay, that's really good information. Thank you. Yeah, so I think with that information, we'll probably put up a Nouns Esports, and then within that, we'll have like a Smash round 1, Smash round 2. Our initial goal is to set aside, I don't know, somewhere between like 10 to 20K ish, maybe less, where players can apply for travel grants to like a really big like Smash tournament, and they can go there and represent Smash Club. And then a different funding round where all of these like local physical Smash tournaments, this is a very decentralized group who, they mostly play on LAN. The online software isn't really that great for Smash Melee. So they kind of rely on these local in-person tournaments. So we're going to have them all apply on Prop House for an additional like $500 prize pool for their tournaments. So I'm hoping we can bring in a ton of proposals. And I've been kind of preaching the word and networking with some like Smash influencers, which has been very challenging because crypto has a really bad reputation in esports at times. But baby steps, we're working on it. We've actually have a Smash player, Aklo, if you're familiar, and he's been really great to kind of be that middleman between us. And Aklo trusts us, and he knows that we're good people trying to do cool stuff. So that gets to other people, and we get to have conversations with people in Smash that I normally wouldn't get to, that wouldn't respond to like a cold email, for example.
Yeah, so that would be kind of an interesting round to basically it'd be esports pod member or esports. Do you guys have a voting token, or who would be the voting token for the Melee kind of send a player to tournament?
Yeah, so initially, that's kind of, I would take like a couple members of our esports pod, myself, Sasquatch, a few others, maybe Boosh, Mock, on Oni as well, and then pair that with another group of like 6 or 7 of like Smash influencers, and it would be a very, that would be like the Smash Council that would essentially be voting on this first round of Prop House. And I guess I would kind of use this as like a pilot prop where, if I was able to bring in, I don't know, a couple hundred proposals, I think it would justify like a greater ask in the future to, hey, let's, instead of $10,000, what can we do with $100,000? Yeah, I guess I haven't really thought too far ahead, but the goal would be to onboard a lot of gamers to Web3 and then kind of expose them to different decentralized applications like Prop House or That's Gnarly or Revolution or Pog, or I'm not sure exactly what we're calling it. I know we're calling it Pog. I don't know if you have seen that website yet.
Yeah, I did actually check that out, courtesy of Sassy Squatch. Yeah, dude, that sounds really fun and interesting, and a whole new. What I like about that is Smash Bros. People who might apply to that kind of prop house round, they're probably totally new to something like this. So it's kind of a totally new, I feel like, audience once they figure out how to submit on a prop house for esports. Hey, now it's not so hard to go to, like Little Nouns Open Round or
Yes, exactly.
one of these Hack Week ones. Yeah, would love to see. Yeah, Peter, would love to talk to you about getting you to do a prop. I think getting paid through a prop house round is one of the easiest ways to onboard someone. Like for me, really, when I won my first prop house round, that was just like a light bulb moment for me. But yeah, I understand. You got a full-time job. You're a multi-sig signer now. You got a lot on your plate.
No, yeah, I got time. Don't worry. I'm looking at one of these open rounds. I was thinking of hopefully maybe doing something charitable with my wife, actually, because she's been dying to figure out Web3, but has a hard time, without some specific direction. I think a proposal and Prop House would be perfect for that.
Yeah, very cool. There's an open round for Nouns. I think
it's just started. Round. Nice.
Yeah, just started. One proposal in.
All right, cool. We'll see. What can I do with 0.5 ETH?
Yeah, boobs.eth. Boobs. Amazing. Kind of feel like this one might not win.
New logo, real life
prototype. Nothing against you, boobs, but yeah. Cool. What what else do you like about Nouns, or what else do you like about Nounishness, Peter? I'm kind of open here, wherever you want to take this. What do you want to chat about?
Well, I love the term open source brand. I think that's a really exciting kind of new thing that most people aren't really aware of. We recently had a group called Beyond the Summit, which was another esports production company who kind of closed their doors due to the recession, not being able to just continue to pay their employee salaries. It really sucks because they were doing such a fantastic job, and they were incredibly good at their jobs, but because the monetization models in our industry are so poor, when sponsorship dollars kind of go away, then some of our biggest and most successful communities are suffering as a result, which doesn't make, I mean, it makes sense, but it's sad that like these communities are growing and thriving, but they're being, I don't know, negatively affected by things that are outside of their control. So finding more unique ways to convince people who are fans of esports to spend money on it. I've done just about, I've worked in esports in about every single angle at this point. And it's, man, the big guys are spending money on silly things and the little guys don't have any money to build the cool stuff. So it's definitely needs some disruption. And I've found Nouns to be just somebody that's doing something different. And just seems like an opportunistic place to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. Yeah, there's no wrong answer here, and everyone's got kind of a different take on it. What does Nounish mean to you, or what are what comes to mind for you? And again, totally no wrong answer. Not to put you on the spot, but I love talking about Nounishness. Actually, Sassy, are you still there? I don't think I've asked you this, but what? Let's start with Sasquatch. What does Nounish mean to you?
Oh man. Well, I'm sure if you like asked me that in a written prompt, that would be a little bit more thoughtful. But if you were just asking me off the cuff, I mean, to me, it's like it's really the intersection of the art, the culture, and really the art and the culture, and how it's been developed around this new protocol, and the things that are created under, oh man, you're gonna get me emotional, Panda. I mean, there's so much I can talk about here, but I think when I think of certain people, I think of them being Nounish.
Who?
And I was at like a Mark Ribier, how do you say his last name? Ribier concert the other day, and I was like, this is one of the most Nounish people I've ever seen. And it's it's certain qualities.
Sorry, who is that? Mark Rib.
Ribellet. There might be a mixture of I's and E's in there somewhere, but if you just Google that, he'll come up. And go check out his tunes, man. He's got some crazy sets. That's all I'll say.
What makes him Nounish, or what makes his art Nounish?
He does his own thing. He's a very authentic and original person. He's a trendsetter, and he's a guy who I would try really hard to make a proposal for Nouns happen. And I should have shot my shot when I saw him, because he's like this guy with millions of YouTube subscribers, and I was at a concert with like 3 people who knew him, and there was only like 15 people total. And so I actually had a nice conversation with him after, but I didn't want to be the one guy like pushing something, and then I didn't. I'm gonna regret not shooting my shot for forever. But what can you do?
Hey,
what's up?
Next time you see him, you've got that rapport of not asking him the first time.
Yep. The second go around is always better, right? So, I think like there's just something about like the culture here, and I think a lot of it comes from like the transparency, and that comes from like the blockchain, which I really love the genesis of. Like the culture really does kind of come from the tech, which is why I think like the technological stuff we do is really important as well. Like I was saying art and culture, but the art culture and the tech, which is part of the culture, but it's also the creation of the culture. I think like the intermingling of those 3 things is just something really special here. And so it just makes it such an exciting playground. Peter's saying like crypto's his playground, but like Nouns is like it's like just an enhanced fun version of crypto. And that's what makes it special. All
Love
right, I'll
it.
stop there. It feels like a good spot.
Love it. There's no wrong answers here. Oh, before we go to Peter, comment here from the index card on YouTube. We're live on YouTube, by the way, at Lil Panda WTF. I think index card is suggesting that you take a look at the Slack Week Prop House round, which I'm going to plug right now shamelessly. But look at this. So we had Hack Week from Nouns. Little Nouns just started a Slack Week Prop House round. So what is this? This is a second chance round for the builders, creators, or weirdos. Proposing ends Wednesday. Okay, so just 2 days to propose. Are you a runner-up or a procrastinator?
I've never submitted a prop house round.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
I feel kind of embarrassed, right? Like I've been announced since the start, and I've never submitted a prop house anything.
Oh man, I highly recommend it. I myself am a prop house maxi veteran. I ended up doing a stream on Sunday where I did a prop for this, and then I also streamed it, and so I entered that for another thing. But it's the world is your oyster. You can do kind of whatever you want. So let me show you just real quick. Plug for voters here, as I would love to win this. I created a 3-hour live stream where I submitted 3 Hack Week props. And so what I did was I created a persona voter that I called Carnegie Nounsworth. And I made a Nouns Agora profile. And I had a ChatGPT write like a little kind of ideology, kind of what he supports. And that's all. It was just like, I opened up a new wallet. I wrote out some text. I created some images. And I live streamed the whole thing, and then here's my prop. It took me 2.5, 3 hours. So it doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't have to be well thought out. And what I love about Nouns is how you could just do these really just wild and weird things, like just make up a voter, try and get Nouns people to delegate to you, and then, hey, call it a prop. So shout out, a little plug to that. If you want to see Carnegie Nounsworth here, that's on my YouTube. At Lil Panda WTF. And I also kind of walk through the whole process of how to submit it. So you can see, I'll show you just real quick. Yeah, I just sort of like I made a
head sandwich.
Exactly. I found a head, found an accessory, found a visual identity, and then I made some graphics. Let's see, what did I do? Made an Agora profile and then submitted it. Oh yeah, here's where I went to ChatGPT and I had ChatGPT write out some good stuff for my delegate statement. Okay, sorry, back to you, Peter. What would your first? What would your first prop house? What could we do for you?
I got to figure out what would be funny. This is like a joke prop, right? It's like you're supposed to reward something for being second place or not being first. So I got to think of some sort of funny joke for the Slack week, right?
Yeah. And it's, to be honest, it's quite juicy. There's 10 winners from Little Nouns, I think I saw. And it closes on Wednesday. So 2 submits. Wait, am I in the right one? Yeah. So there's only 2 proposals so far. 2 days to submit and 10 winners. So this could be a juicy one.
Hopefully I dream about a proposal tonight. I could ship it in the morning.
Awesome. What's tell me about Nounish to you. What does Nounish mean? Can you maybe someone's done something or you've experienced something that you'd call Nounish? It really can be anything. There's no wrong answer, Peter, but yeah, kind of interested to hear your perspective on the Nounish question.
Yeah, whenever you say Nounish, I initially just associate that with the YouTube channel, to be honest. And I think it just I think that channel preaches like creativity being the source of the noun's power. And so I think, enabling creativity is very nounish. And that's how I would describe it, I think.
Absolutely, man. I love Nounish.
Yeah,
Shout
and I
out
think
Nounish.
generally Web3 is meant to sort of enable like niche communities to have great products, even though they're not the most popular thing in the world. And yeah, I feel like Nouns is doing that through this, this kind of lens of, hey, this is really creative, this is really unique and cool. But how do you fund it? Right. But if you're funding creativity and you could find a way to make that sustainable, sounds pretty cool. Sounds like you can do a lot of cool stuff, invent some new things.
I love how you put that, but you're gonna have to remind me the language. But you said something about how kind of the Nounish superpowers, it enables creativity, or how did you put that?
Yeah, I like that. That works.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I completely agree with you there. It's about creativity and freedom to sort of do what you want and tell your own version of the art or the tech, your twist on it, and how that's encouraged. It's something anyone can do, whether you speak English, whether you are old or young. It's an open source brand. It's for everyone. Enjoy Nouns.
Agreed.
What have you learned, Peter, from this guy Sassy here? Has he
Sasquatch?
taught? Yeah, has he taught you anything? You got any fun anecdotes to share about Sassy?
Wow. Yeah, I don't know how far we go, or I don't know how. Sorry, I'm all over my words right now. Sasquatch and I used to be roommates. Did you know this? We were both on Complexity as professional gamers at the same time.
I
We
didn't
lived
know that.
we lived
Let's
in
hear it.
Houston together for I think maybe like a month, maybe a little more than a month. Yeah, I mean we weren't like best friends or anything, but we were cool. We shared some meals. I think it's a long time ago, like 2013 or something. What else? What have I learned from Sasquatch? I don't know. I kind of ran into him in Web3 randomly. That was kind of cool. And I have been impressed. He's a founder, right? He's got to be a little prolific. He's been a good leader, and I've just been trying to help as much as I can along the way.
All right, I got to double click on that. What makes him a good leader?
Well, I think he's been doing his best. I don't know, good. I mean, he's done okay. I think. I mean, he's kept the ship sailing. Right, we're still going, and hopefully this prop passes and we can keep sailing. I think he does a great job. This is like very emotional, sentimental right now. I imagine he's got a lot of DMs going on, a lot of different conversations happening. Got to stay on top of it. Got to give everyone the little special attention. I appreciate the attention that I get because I'm sure you're just talking to tons of different people. So a man in need. I think handing off becoming the founder of Nouns, like it's very, it's a decentralized brand, but it's kind of centralized in terms of like the source of the, hey, let's make stuff happen here at Nouns Esports. I think it's been challenging to sort of get away from that, but I think you've managed it decently well. I think I'm finished there. I don't know if you want to respond to that. If you have any takes, Sasquatch, or if you're even here listening. What do you think, Panda?
I took off my headset. I can't stand when people talk about me.
Yeah, sorry, man. I don't know. I think you're doing all right. You're doing a pretty good job. We're figuring it out, I think.
Yeah, there's like things that are different from like we're not a one-to-one like copy of an esports org, so there's like things that are just inherently different.
It's a strange place sometimes.
Yeah, it's just like, we both have like, industry esports experience, but it doesn't, and we take those lessons and apply them, and there's a lot to get from that. It gets us a lot of the way there, but you also need to have like a strong understanding of Nouns and a strong understanding of some crypto fundamentals, and it's a mixture of like some different skills that makes it kind of like a unique challenge or a unique we're pushing on the frontier, what is what you can say.
What what about Peter has you excited to have him join the multi-sig? What do you like about Peter as a colleague, or I guess I don't know what you guys are, but coworker?
Yeah, I mean, just contributors together. Well, I think he has like a ton of experience in esports, and he was one of the first like prolific like esports native people to come to us and like start snooping around and saying like, hey, what's going on here? And he was very quick to be onboarded and helpful. And I think that like just jumping in and like getting active is like the kind of people that you want in Nouns. Like you need self starters in Nouns very clearly, and especially in like the esports environment that we've been working on with the pod. Self starters are like the ones who are really thriving, I think. And so he just brings a lot of that like let's move things forward and independent initiative. That's really important. So that's an easy one. And then also like he has his own personal network which he's helped leverage, and I think just like across the board just helpful with the project. So good team member.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas floating around at Nouns. Sometimes it's really hard to nail them down and actually do something.
Yeah, I mean, it's esports is a huge landscape of opportunity, and so it's the selection and refinement, and then execution being the hardest part of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. That's true everywhere. I think even outside of crypto. Peter, what makes you good at pushing things forward? At kind of like not letting things float out there in the ether. What? Do you have background in that, or tell me what makes you good at that?
Yeah, you say that I've got like 3 things like floating in the ether right now, probably. I don't know. I think it's just ambition, maybe opportunity. I basically just sign myself up for a commitment and then just hate myself for when progress isn't being made. I don't know. It's a bit of a vicious cycle, but I really enjoy building things, especially with other people. I don't hate working by myself, but I really like working with others. I just want to build something new and big and different. And as I said before, this Nouns Esports is just an incredible opportunity. So I'd really, really feel about it. It's so crazy that I genuinely feel like anybody that just like wanted to get involved could get involved. I'm just surprised there's not like more people like lined up trying to figure this thing out. But that's kind of how everybody in that seems to be the way that a lot of people in esports feel about Web3. This, all of these conversations and, the fact that we haven't talked about like speculative assets once is just kind of foreign to some gamers.
Just to like add on to that, I think like the culture here is like it's like so shocking that like the people who do get in, like there is like this like refreshing, very interesting dynamic. But I do think like a big connector for us will be something like a Nounish video where it really explains how our team is like different than an inherent like traditional esports team. Because like most people will just see Nouns Esports and think, okay, this is just like the other crypto sponsors where they throw a big sum of cash and there's something they're shilling, and it's like just normal esports org, but they're getting a big check from a crypto company similar to like TSM FTX. But really, Nouns is like a ground up different type of organization, and it's like people only get that if they go very deep. And we just need that like introductory piece of media that helps cross that gap for people who don't like have the time to go like to that level, to really understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is also people who are deep in DeFi and Ethereum. There's a lot of crypto people who really look at Nouns and don't understand it at all. So I do think that there's just a certain kind of mindset that you either have or you don't have. And yes, you need that Nounish or that, kind of intro piece that gets you curious. But I think just so many people just can't really see it, even if they're into crypto already, even if they understand DeFi, even if they understand permissionless stuff. Like there's a lot of resistance to
just the identity, the characters, the pixel art, that I think that just turns a lot of people off. Does the opposite for for folks like us. But I think there's always going to be a lot of resistance there, and it is frustrating, but it's so kind of common and widespread that I just see it all over the place. And yeah, I think it's not for everyone.
Not for everyone. You mean nouns or gaming culture, or I mean, we all have our own little bubbles, but
yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, and not that it's not for everyone, because it is, like, literally nouns, like, more so than anything else, nouns literally is for everyone. Like, anyone can go and you can make your own DAO, you can take all the artwork, you can do whatever you want. It literally is for everyone. But when I say it's not for everyone, I mean, it seems like there's some people who just don't see it, or just aren't able to see it, or have sort of a skepticism where even if you show them kind of the cool stuff, they're still kind of not quite going to see it. Or maybe they're just not ready to it. Maybe it takes more time. I'm not real sure. But what I'm trying to say is I see in my line of work and with people in my life the same kinds of things that you're seeing with gamers. And I think it's just sort of a universal thing. There's a lot of people who just don't get it yet.
well, I think the Web3 and I think now esports still has a long ways to go. I don't think that like we're even ready to sort of onboard like massive amounts of users or anything like that. We're kind of laying the building blocks of a couple of products that we think could be really useful to kind of better arm us to kind of interact with larger groups. Can't just be us. We can't just talk to everyone on Discord.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Any closing thoughts? I really appreciate both you coming on kind of spur of the moment. We've almost done 2 hours. Sasquatch, any closing thoughts from you? Should we wrap this up?
I can just keep talking about esports forever. So closing thoughts are just thanks for having me on, and walking through the prop. I think that was special, and there's probably some details we still miss kind of in that conversation, just because it's a big prop, and if anybody has like further details or questions, always happy to jump in and talk more. So reach out.
Yeah, in closing, I'll add as well. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the invite. This is really cool. I love the way you did the screen. I was pretty much just watching you work here the whole time. It was really engaging and helpful. I'm happy to come on again in the future if you ever want to chat nouns, right? I'm always down to learn more. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciated both of you for coming on. Just to wrap up, it's Prop 263. This goes on chain Thursday night, my time. Big ask, I'd say, relative to some recent props. So I think it's going to be interesting how it turns out. And then my two guests today, Sasquatch, where are you? Right here. At Part Sasquatch. You're Sasquatch because you're very tall. And then Peter Pandam, at Peter Pandam, former Dota player, new multi-sig signer for Now's Esports. If this passes, Peter, thanks again. Sasquatch, thanks again to both of you. We'll be watching this closely and hope to have you back on the pod sometime soon.
Well,
Peace.
Later, guys.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We will see you next time.
Sizzle reel. To have a show where people can kind of watch and understand what the whole process is, I think would be super valuable.
Nouns is designed for permissionless creativity. You should just start doing stuff.
Oh my God, the deadline is in 9 minutes.
Do these live interviews.
That's actually really a really good question.
There are really very few yellows that are usable.
Larry King.
Stream directly to Twitter.
very funny to me that Will Price was in the intro.
Easier to stumble upon.
Ethereum is a name that describes a particular network.
Playing nouns like a game.
How well you know your onions. And if you
Oh, I'm so bad at this.
A very fun, cool example of what's possible here.
submitted.
Watching you work in Figma is very enjoyable in itself.
Thanks again, everyone. That is a promo for Lil Nouns Prop 116, which is going on chain tonight. And we are doing a live season finale or season cliffhanger. We're going to be hosting a show Thursday night during the last couple hours of the vote. Again, this is lilnouns.wtf/vote/116. Let's play Lil Nouns. Please take a look at our sizzle reel. Let me know if you have any questions. My DMs are open. We are taking our talents to nouns, hopefully. And we can do a whole episode or several on the jungle if this passes. But we're starting out here. Again, Prop 116. Let's play Lil Nouns. And we'll have a lot more content. Probably going to be streaming every night tonight. Definitely on Thursday. And we're working on a good show, I believe tomorrow or maybe Wednesday. All about noun 3. Sorry, which noun is it? It is noun 535. Quick little promo here. That is going to be Mr. Stapler noun. Beautiful stapler noun. I believe the cheapest noun ever purchased. Owned by Lil Nouns. Noun 535. Who moved my stapler? All right. We'll see you later this week. Thanks, everyone.